Welcome back to Forkcast. This is Hacker News Show number 2, 35 open source projects that have recently been trending on Hacker News. Let's get into it. You have notes scattered across 5 different apps, and every one of them wants to sync your data to their cloud. You just want a private place to think. Files.md is an open source local first note-taking app built in Go. It stores everything as plain markdown files right on your device, with no data ever sent to a server. It works fully offline in any browser, has a Telegram chatbot for on-the-go access, and the entire codebase is small enough for one person or an LLM to hold in their head. The app that puts your thoughts back in your control. You spin up a local 8 billion parameter model for tool calling, and it gets it right barely half the time. Single-digit accuracy is the norm for small models doing agentic tasks. Forge is a Python reliability layer for self-hosted LLM tool calling. It wraps any local model with rescue parsing, retry nudges, and response validation guardrails that take an 8B model from single digits to 84% across 26 evaluation scenarios. It even lifts Sonnet from 85 to 98%. Drop it in as an OpenAI-compatible proxy with 0 rewrites, the seatbelt your local LLM never had. Your coding agent burns through tens of thousands of tokens, grepping through files, reading entire source trees just to find where authentication logic lives. That token budget adds up fast. Semble is a code search library built specifically for AI agents that uses 98% fewer tokens than grep plus read. It indexes your entire codebase in under a second, runs on CPU with no GPU or API keys needed, and returns exactly the relevant code snippets for natural language queries. It is 200 times faster at indexing and 10 times faster at querying than transformer-based alternatives. Give your agent a map instead of a shovel. Apple ships gorgeous aerial video wallpapers on Mac OS, but the engine that powers them is completely locked down. You cannot use your own videos without hacky workarounds. Phosphene is a menu bar app and wallpaper extension for Mac OS Tahoe that plays your own video files as the desktop and lock screen wallpaper. It is built on top of Apple's private wallpaper extension kit framework, the same one Apple's own aerials use, which means it integrates natively with 0 hacks, your screen, your footage, running at full quality right on the desktop. Your name, address, phone number, and family details are sitting on dozens of data broker sites right now, and manually opting out of each one is a part-time job that never ends. Auto identity. Remove is an automated data broker opt-out runner that removes your personal information from over 500 people search sites on a monthly schedule. It runs on Mac OS, Linux, and Windows, searches each broker site for your name and state, finds your specific listing, and submits the removal request automatically. The privacy cleanup crew that works while you sleep. You need to script a complex CLI tool, but it was designed for humans, not machines. Tmux gets you partway there, but programmatic control is clunky and fragile. rmux is a universal terminal multiplexer written in Rust with a typed playwright-style SDK for driving any CLI or TUI application from code. It implements all 90 tmux-compatible commands, runs natively on Linux, Mac OS, and Windows, and lets you detach, inspect, and script terminal sessions like browser pages. The terminal is now an API. You have an old phone with a broken USB port and no working network adapter. Getting a file off it feels impossible without buying cables or disassembling the device. ShadowCat is a single HTML file under 100 kilobytes that transfers data between 2 devices optically using QR codes and a camera. It is fully offline, requires no installation, no dependencies, and works on any device with a modern browser and a screen. Just open the file, point one device's camera at the other, and watch your data move at 3 frames per second through pure light. The sneakernet reimagined for the 21st century. Building a document editor into your app usually means choosing between a half-baked open-source library that mangles formatting or paying for a proprietary SDK. Either way, your docs files never round-trip cleanly. Docx-editor is an open-source WYSIWYG docx-editor library for React and Vue that produces canonical Office Open XML. It supports tracked changes, real-time collaboration, and the output opens perfectly in Microsoft Word, Google Docs, and LibreOffice with no formatting drift, a document editing experience that respects the file format. You find a 45-minute tech talk on YouTube and need the transcript. Most tools require a GPU, an API key, or a cloud upload. That is 45 minutes you do not have. Yapsnap is a single-command Python tool that transcribes any video URL or audio file to plain text on your CPU with no GPU and no cloud. It downloads the audio, runs transcription locally using an optimized 80-megabyte model, and outputs a text file in less time than it took the video to play. One command, 0 accounts, instant text from any video on the internet. Image generation models do images, video models do video, and understanding models handle text. You juggle 3 different model architectures, each with its own pipeline and dependencies. Lance is a 3 billion parameter native unified multimodal model from ByteDance that handles image and video understanding, generation, and editing within a single architecture. Instead of routing between separate specialist models, one model does it all, with the ability to both see and create visual content in a single forward pass. One model to see them all, one model to draw them. Your coding agent writes great front-end code, then hits a wall when it needs a database, authentication, file storage, or a deployment target. You end up wiring all that infrastructure yourself, which defeats the point of having the agent. InsForge is an open-source back-end platform purpose-built for agentic coding with over 10,500 GitHub stars. It gives your coding agent database, auth, storage, compute, hosting, and an AI gateway so it can ship full-stack apps end-to-end without you becoming the human middleware, the missing half of every AI coding agent's brain. You love Haskell's type safety and Rust's performance, but calling Rust from Haskell has always meant writing fragile, error-prone FFI bindings by hand. One wrong pointer and you are debugging a seg fault. hsrs is a code generator that produces type-safe Haskell bindings from annotated Rust source code automatically. It handles memory management, type marshalling, and generates idiomatic Haskell that feels native while calling into high-performance Rust underneath. The compiler proves your foreign function calls are correct before you ever run them. Your AI agent generates a UUID for a new entity, but it costs 23 tokens every time, and the model hallucinates the ID about 10% of the time. Multiply that by thousands of entity creations, and you are burning context window on identifiers that are not even reliable. ID Agent is a token-efficient UUID alternative designed for AI agents. It produces memorable word-based IDs like Blue Eagle 42 at just 14 tokens each, with built-in validation that catches LLM hallucinations automatically, meaningful identifiers that cost less, verify themselves, and are actually readable by humans and machines alike. You store time series data in PostgreSQL, but as your tables grow past a few 100 million rows, queries crawl and storage costs balloon. Moving to a specialized time series database means learning a new query language and managing another system. deltax is an Apache 2 licensed PostgreSQL extension that adds compression and columnar storage for time series data, giving you up to 7x storage reduction on wide tables with 105 columns. It works as a pure, open-source alternative to Timescale DB, or as a PostgreSQL native replacement for dedicated analytics stores like ClickHouse. Keep your Postgres, drop the bloat. Adding real-time collaboration to your app means choosing between expensive hosted services like Pusher or wrestling with WebSocket infrastructure and CRDT conflict resolution yourself. Most teams give up and ship without it. Hocuspocus is a self-hosted WebSocket backend built on CRDTs that gives you conflict-free real-time collaboration with over 20,300 stars on GitHub. It is plug-and-play, handles presence, authentication, and persistence out of the box, and runs on your own infrastructure with no vendor lock-in, real-time collaboration without the real-time headache. You use Claude Code for one task, Cursor for another, and Copilot for code completion. Each agent has a different idea of what you are building because none of them read the same plan. Spec-Driven Development is a Claude skill that generates requirements, design, and task documents before any code is written, then creates matching config files for Claude Code, Cursor, Copilot, Windsurf, and Aider. Every agent reads the same spec, follows the same plan, and stays aligned. One source of truth, 5 coding agents, 0 contradictions. You want to find and play a YouTube video without leaving your terminal. Opening a browser breaks your flow, loads trackers, and eats a gigabyte of RAM for a 3-minute clip. YTX is a POSIX shell script with over 1,500 stars that lets you browse, search, play, and download YouTube and other YTDLP-supported sites directly from your terminal using FCF or your app launcher. It works in Bash, Zsh, and Dash with optional video previews. The entire YouTube catalog, accessible through a single keystroke in your terminal. Your API documentation looks fine to you, but when an AI coding agent tries to use it, it misses endpoints, misinterprets parameters, and writes broken integration code. Your docs pass human review, but fail the agent test. Dari-docs is a CLI tool that sends your documentation to simulated coding agents, measures whether they can actually complete tasks using it, and flags exactly where they get stuck. It turns documentation quality from seems understandable into an agent can actually ship. Docs so clear even the dumbest agent gets it right. You build a browser automation agent, but websites detect the headless Chromium fingerprint and block you with captchas before your agent can do anything useful. Playwright stealth plugins help, but they are patches on top of a detectable foundation. Clark Browser is a fully patched Chromium where the fingerprint fixes are compiled directly into the browser's source code, not layered on top. Your Playwright or CDP client drives a genuinely stealth browser that passes detection checks natively. When your agent needs to be invisible, patch the metal, not the paint. You run Elasticsearch for full-text search and ClickHouse for analytics, and now you are maintaining 2 clusters, 2 query languages, and an ETL pipeline between them. Your infrastructure diagram has more boxes than a flowchart has arrows. Serenebach is a real-time search analytics database with over 500 stars that unifies Elasticsearch-like search and ClickHouse-like analytics in a single PostgreSQL-compatible engine. It is powered by iresearch, a C++ search library that beat Lucene and Tanavi on their own benchmark. One database, one query language, both workloads served from the same engine. Building software for macOS usually means wrestling with Xcode, signing certificates, and opaque build processes that are impossible to reproduce on CI. Every macOS developer has cursed at Xcode at least once this week. Darnix is a project that builds Apple's XNU kernel and generates a Darwin system using the Nix package manager. It brings reproducible builds to Darwin, letting you compile the kernel, generate a bootable system image, and track every dependency declaratively. Reproducible macOS system images powered by Nix. You need to convert a batch of docx and XLSX files to PDF on a headless server. LibreOffice can do it, but installing a full desktop Office suite with hundreds of dependencies on a production server feels wrong. Libreoffice-rs is a pure Rust, standard library only CLI, and library for reading, writing, converting, and rendering docx, XLSX, PPTX, and ODF documents. It has 0 system dependencies beyond Rust's std, runs headless, and converts Office documents to PDF or CSV with a single command, Office document processing without the Office suite. Your application data is split across PostgreSQL for relations, Neo4j for graphs, and Pinecone for vector search. 3 databases, 3 drivers, 3 sets of operational headaches. Every feature that crosses a data boundary becomes an integration project. aiondb is a database engine built from scratch in Rust that combines SQL, graph, and vector capabilities into a single PostgreSQL-compatible system. Instead of sharding your data model across 3 different stores, one query engine handles relational tables, graph traversals, and vector similarity search natively. One database to rule all 3 data models. Your AI agent sends every single query to the cloud, burning API credits even for tasks it has solved a dozen times before. It never learns, never remembers, and your monthly bill proves it. Autodidact is a local-first, self-evolving AI agent framework that routes between local and cloud LLMs, learns from every interaction, and stores distilled knowledge on the edge. Over time, more queries are handled locally, accuracy improves, and your cloud costs drop. An AI agent that actually gets smarter and cheaper with every conversation you have. Your company's institutional knowledge lives in Slack threads, Notion pages, email chains, and the heads of 3 senior engineers who are all on vacation at the same time. There is no single brain. Sylph is an open-source company brain built by a YCX25 startup to run their own company. It orchestrates AI agents with specialized skills, maintains a self-improving shared context, and lets you run your entire company's operations through a unified agent interface. The company wiki that actually does the work. WordPress is heavy, Hugo is static, and you want something in between. A self-hosted blog engine that is light enough to run on a Raspberry Pi, but dynamic enough to handle comments, drafts, and a proper editing flow. Serenebach is a Go weblog engine that runs as either a CGI binary or a standalone HTTP server. It stores posts as flat files, renders pages server-side, and the entire binary is small enough to fit on a floppy disk, the sweet spot between static site generator and content management system, written in Go. Your gaming PC is plugged into the living room TV, but you want to play from your laptop on the couch. Existing remote desktop tools are built for office apps, not real-time gaming. The input lag makes any action game unplayable. Spud is a cross-platform remote control application optimized for gaming, written in Rust. It sends local keyboard and mouse input to a remote server with tunable protocol parameters for latency and reliability. Input is as responsive as sitting at the host machine, couch gaming without moving the computer. You write documentation in Markdown and want to preview it before pushing to GitHub. But every Markdown preview tool either runs in Electron and eats half your RAM or does not support GitHub-flavored Markdown tables and Obsidian wiki links. mdviewer is a fast, lightweight native macOS Markdown viewer built in Rust. It renders GitHub-flavored Markdown and Obsidian-style syntax, including wiki links, callouts, and emoji shortcodes in a native window with instant load time and a tiny memory footprint. Your Markdown, rendered beautifully, without a Chromium instance underneath. Every SaaS vendor announces breaking API changes, security patches, and deprecations in their own format, through their own channels. You maintain integrations with 12 services, and each one communicates changes differently. One sends emails, another posts a changelog, a third just breaks silently. ChangeSpec is an open specification for software change communication that defines a standard event format vendors use to publish changes and consumers use to process them programmatically. One format, any vendor, any consumer. The missing contract layer between the software you build and the software you depend on. Your AI agent can issue refunds, send emails, and delete database rows. Its only safety boundary is a system prompt that says, "Please do not do anything bad." System prompts are not a security boundary, they are a polite suggestion. Enforra is an open-source action governance SDK for AI agent tool calls. You define policies for what actions the agent can take, test them in C, and enforce them at runtime before the tool call ever executes. It wraps your application's tool callbacks, not the model, so governance runs at the action layer where it actually matters. Let your agent think freely, but act within guardrails. Your production logs contain sensitive data scattered across plaintext files, and setting up a full CM for a small team is overkill that costs more than your infrastructure. You need to find threats without becoming a security operations center. Logatory is a local-first log analysis tool with built-in PII redaction, rule-based threat detection, anomaly detection, and LLM-powered insights. It auto-detects log formats, flags threats in real time, and gives you a web dashboard, REST API, and CLI. Security analysis that runs on your laptop, not a six-figure SaaS contract. You want a home security camera, but the idea of your video feed sitting on some company's cloud server makes your skin crawl. Every off-the-shelf camera phone's home, and every major brand has had a breach. Secluso is a privacy-preserving home security camera system for Raspberry Pi with over 100 stars on GitHub. It uses end-to-end encryption, so even the server cannot see your footage, supports live viewing and motion alerts, and the software setup takes under 5 minutes. A security camera that actually respects your security. Your AI coding agent can write the code, but you still have no idea how long a task will actually take. Manual estimation is slow, biased toward optimism, and built for human developers, not agents that work at a completely different cadence. Agent Estimate is an open-source effort estimation tool built specifically for AI coding agents. It combines PERT statistical modeling with meta benchmarking data and wave planning to predict task duration, model reliability, and human equivalent cost in a single command. Know when your agent will ship before it writes a single line. Most AI agent skills are markdown files. The coding agent reads once, then forgets. They run in your terminal, last only as long as your session, and have no memory between invocations. These skills are conversational front ends to long-running conductor workflows. Your agent handles the intake and launches a workflow that runs for hours or days on Orcs infrastructure with state persistence, retries, and monitoring built in. The agent translates workflow state back to you in plain language whenever you ask. Agent skills with a memory, a runtime, and the patience to finish what they start. Hugo is fast and lightweight, but writing posts in a text editor and pushing to Git every time you want to publish is friction that keeps you from actually blogging. You want the simplicity of Hugo with the ease of a web-based CMS. hugo-flow is a web-based front-end interface for Hugo static sites. It connects directly to your GitHub repository, provides a rich text editor, handles front matter automatically, and commits changes via the GitHub API. You select your repo and content paths through the UI, write your post, and publish. A CMS for people who chose Hugo. That's all 35 projects featured in Hacker News, show number 2. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to our channel.